You had a protest yesterday in London against low-traffic neighbourhoods. Now, I come in through South London every day. As I go through parts of Dulwich, I see house after house with signs, no to low-traffic neighbourhoods. Yeah. Who is closing all these streets down, and why are they doing it?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. So initially, it was Boris Johnson that started with the first LTN, and one of those, let's cycle. It's dominated by a kind of net zero notion, but it gets imposed on us. So what's happened is that now the government has given some incentives to local authorities. Local authorities have now jumped on it with technocratic fervour. And have earned a lot of money from low-traffic neighbourhoods. Now, what's actually happened, when they've consulted with local residences and businesses, disproportionately, the majority of them have rejected them. They don't want them. Even on their own terms, they don't actually stop pollution. They just move it around. They cause huge congestion. You can't get through, and it's basically more tax on movement. We did the LTN, no to LTNs in Haringey, which is getting a lot of response and reaction at the moment. There's 3 LTNs there. People are furious, all different segments of society. We've seen that across the board. Now, actually, in Ealing, residents and businesses got them to U-turn on it, and they ended up ripping them out.
So actually, by standing up and stamping your feet a bit, sensibly, peaceably, Ealing proves that you can get it rethought. The other plans, I mean, we'll stick with London for the moment. ULEZ. You know, I live on the North Downs.
Right.
You know, it's a rural area, little villages. And yet, lady in my local pub, it's going to cost her £12.50 to go and buy the newspapers of a morning. And I'm not going to pay the charge because I've got a new car. Yeah. But the pensioners and those who can't afford new cars are going to be racking up £12.50 a day. A lot of tradespeople will rethink what they do. I mean, is there any way we can stop this? Because it seems that Khan is dead set on doing it. The climate change lobby are behind him. And Khan himself has said that the Conservative Transport Department view the idea with positivity.
Yeah, well, I think the thing is that I think Sadiq Khan sees it as a legacy project. 6 councils have already come out in opposition to it, including Bexley, Bromley. We've seen that they've been very resolutely opposed to it. We also know that over 60% of residents and businesses, again, are opposed to it. We're talking about a huge section, over 2 million people in the outer areas of London. And this is why I think it's really important that people get involved. And as Together, we're providing a kind of portal of different comms.
And you're cross-party and no party.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, also,
which is very important.
This is a question, firstly, about democracy. It's why we say take back democracy, because these things are being imposed by stealth. Sadiq Khan is actually a chair of C40 cities. If people look at it a bit more, there's this kind of notion that they're going to impose these things regardless. In fact, in the mayor's office, it was actually said they're going to do that. Interestingly, Nigel, they've got a budget hearing in the next couple of days. There's still time to email them and for Londoners in particular to have our voice heard, but also people, as you say, just on the outsides that are going to be impacted.
How do we support you on this?
The way you do it is come to togetherdeclaration.org, come to our Twitter @TogetherDec. You can get involved. We've got local groups across. We're going to do some more stuff across boroughs in London and across the anti-LTN campaigns across the UK regionally, so people can get involved and do that.
You know what, Alan Miller? If people want this, they can have it.
Absolutely.
And that is how democracy works. But you're right, this is being imposed without any proper debate between the parties. Final thought. The proposals in Canterbury and Oxford that you basically would not be allowed to drive your car out of a very, very local neighbourhood without imposing a charge. This almost feels like a form of climate lockdown, or am I exaggerating?
Well, what they've said is they're going to allow 100 passes a year, which even in its own terms, you're like, well, how have you decided that? What if you've got 2 cars? But who are these technocrats to make these decisions? And Oxford is really telling, because not only have they done this allegedly a trial, like the LTNs were allegedly a trial, there are businesses in Oxford now that are going down that have been there for 30 years. East Oxford doesn't have things in its vicinity. Interestingly, it's always the poorest areas that impacted the worst. Now they've got proposals. On January 24th, there's going to be a hearing in the council chambers because they've got further proposals where, wait for it, nurses and teachers are going to have impositions both on parking and cars coming in. This is utterly outrageous, and I think, you know, that's why, as Together, we've got residents, signatories and members in Oxford and Oxfordshire, and we're asking of the council not only why are they doing this and why have they rejected the idea that so many have said we don't want it, but also will they have a public debate with us?
No.
We want to have a public discussion, a town hall type meeting, get them out.
Yeah, as I say, if people want these things, that's fine. in a free society they can have them, but,
Yes.
but it's just being imposed. It's crackers. But it is the new religion. As we give up on Christianity and we embrace the religion of Greta Thunberg, and we believe by doing all these things we will save our planet, all the while the Chinese build 80 new coal-fired power stations every year. Alan Miller, good luck with this campaign.
Thank you.
And whether you agree with Alan or not, he's right about one thing. We should have a full public debate on these issues before big changes are made to people's lives.